All right, 6 o'clock, so let's call the regular meeting to order. Any changes to the agenda at all? Take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
See no. Agenda's approved. Consent items.
I had 2 questions. On the prepaids, the non-public trans, what's that come from?
So we have some students who choose to go to a private school and we have to pay for their transportation.
It's so expensive transportation. Okay.
It's a pass through. Oh, we get it from the DD.
Oh, okay.
But we have to file it, when they file something with us. I don't know that everyone knows that they can do that. We have 3 families that do that.
And then we went by all new MacBooks for teachers.
Yep, so if you remember on our capital assets, we're on cycles. This
Yeah.
year was the staff's.
No, I was just curious if we're trade in the old ones for any kind of kickback or do we sell them?
The teachers have the option to purchase
Yes.
first,
Okay.
and then we kind of go from there.
Okay.
And that's generally what's happening right now.
Oh, most teachers buy back theirs. Okay.
Yeah, because of the information. But we have sold them. We wipe them down to just a, basic, and then we will sell them if we have enough of them. We actually got them $100 cheaper per unit than what he
Yeah, I
waited
like that.
on it.
It didn't look that terrible. I just, we did it, my work does that where they sell back the old ones that have a rotation.
Yeah. If they're not obsolete, then sometimes we do, but almost always they just won't hardly give us anything for them because, we're on a 4-year rotation.
Okay.
So there's obsolete by that.
Oh, yeah, I'm like, we, as employees, we have no problem.
They don't like us to use the word obsolete, but
As soon as you take it out of the box, it's obsolete.
yeah.
Motion to approve the consent items.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Consent items are approved. Any correspondences? We want the public forum, so Sue or Dawn. They both.
Don says no. So
Sue, sure, what's it? Good, Sue.
What do you want me to say
we'll see. What's gonna be.
He also
There you
You want
go.
to sing your dance?
Last month, my presentation had to do with describing a family situation where I have 2 grandsons with ADHD, one who's going to school up at Ames and the other one here. And I have learned that over the years, apparently I have a daughter-in-law somewhat as aggressive as I am in standing up and trying to get the best teaching methods for students like that. And so we were both very pleasantly surprised, like last fall, when my grandson up at Ames was given access to an online program that really brought him forward, and he only missed being able to attend graduation by 2 weeks as he was getting caught up with everything. And then we have my grandson who just started the first of this year and only needs, 3 more credits. He's got 1 and then he's signed up for 2 more and he'll qualify for his high school diploma. But I, just as my daughter-in-law occasionally has done, is complained to the school about the specific programs that they were just using one-on-one with individuals because they were not always effective for each individual, but it's what they had available. So what I sent you this time for this month was some background on the two programs, the one up at Ames and the one that's being used here. And yes, documented wise, both are using AI, both interact with the brains of the individuals who are going through the class and doing that. And the program is adapting to the responses that they are seeing. So they're tying right into the individual students for support and to help teach what is there, which is very effective. And clearly it's working very well for them and bringing them along. And I'm mentioning that because as you hear increasingly on the news, skills with AI and being able to work with it are going to be increasingly part of workforce necessary skills. And they involve thinking and problem solving and finding the best support data for your conclusion. An analogy I wanted to use for individuals here I'll just use surgery because they use AI in surgery here. Yes, you have certain steps you go through, but every individual is different and you have to make adaptations for what you encounter. That's the gist of how these programs are working as they interact with each student. And so working with AI in a work environment means being able to think and to adapt and effectively communicate to get the best response possible with the computer program and know where to find the best supporting data to support the position for your conclusion. So you're going to have to be doing this more and more, not just with the students who have fallen behind because of specific circumstances. One last thing here too, because each of us has a different set of life experiences and a different set of circumstances that can also have an influence, some of which is beyond your control here, but to provide the most effective type of support to help them stay focused so the program can work the best it can with them would really, really help. Some is outside the school, some has been inside the school. But if you think about that and start putting plans together and planning, you'll help a lot more students that in addition to the ones you're trying to help now with your new plan that you're going to start here next week. That's all I wanted to point out is it worked well with our family, but we figured out why.
On the business items, start with commissioners.
Thank you. I want to thank Betsy and Jeff for coming. They're gonna I know they put a lot of time and work into this, so they're gonna present a little bit on fundraising.
So nothing's set in stone. I appreciate you seeing us tonight. I only wanted so each year we start the year kind of by looking around and seeing how we can help improve things. What we talked about last year a lot was the scoreboard out at the complex, the football field. I think it needs an upgrade in one way or another. So we've done some research, we've contacted several companies. This is kind of, we had to come up with a design. This isn't set in stone, like I said, but this is kind of what we're shooting for. We just came to you guys to get your support so we can put a game plan together with fundraising and looking for grants and things like that. We're obviously going to need this school's backing to help us in the community, that type of thing. So before we dug in any deeper into anything, we wanted to get the approval so we could move forward. This would be used for both track and football, ideally, for a timing system, things like that. So, like I said, none of those prices, obviously, they're rough and they are right now. So if we don't get the money raised for 2 years, obviously things are going to be higher.
We've already noticed a price increase from when we got number 6 months ago to today.
Thank you guys for coming. I think my biggest question around all this is, I love, you guys do everything, you know, to support all the athletics and stuff around here, so no complaints from that perspective, but with it being this expensive to get put in, what does the maintenance plan look like? Because that typically would fall to the school and you guys do everything you can to support, but we need to understand if we can actually support maintaining something this nice.
And I think that would be the goal in fundraising is to have a game plan moving forward because maintenance, obviously with the digital scoreboard is expensive. So, there is warranty, things like that, but yes, that would all be built into the fundraising efforts.
Yeah, we know a screen is going to have issues 10-15 years down the road. We have to have a plan in place to budget for those replacements at that time.
Is there any annual subscription fees or anything?
It would be the only thing would be the,
Result TV, is that an
that- yeah.
annual?
yeah, and that would be mainly for track. That's part of the timing system and everything.
We just want to make sure that it would be used for both track and football purposes, and not just for the sport.
And obviously on this design, there's nothing about what's already on the scoreboard, so all that signage would still be out there. The Jerry Lee Robinson, that would all be on there. Any other things we can add, we can certainly do that. We just didn't at this time.
Mentioned the track timing system. Would that be another system than on top of what we have now, or would it tie in with kind of the one we don't have currently working?
Very good question.
And I don't know that we have the answer for that.
We haven't been fully,
What's the thing, because I don't even works currently, I guess.
we do know the system will work with, the timing system that, the school has used this past season. But that system is also not the system we have out there. That's a system that's been brought in. So we would still need to work out very detailed. We just honestly, we've invested a lot of time so far and just really didn't want to keep going until we kind of got the approval from the board to keep investigating and starting to raise money.
And we can always, the result TV would be more of a live result type thing. We can always plug it in and post it. So we can always get around not using the live TV, but or the result TV, but that would just be a bonus on top of.
So there are other options to
Yes.
display the track information.
Yes, yeah.
It's just more manual plastic versus. automatic. The numbers that you are seeing there, that is just one quote. We did work with every major player in the state. None of them are apples to apples, of course, but this is by far, what we found is probably going to be the best value for what we're looking at. But we have definitely done our homework and explored all the other options too, which are all quite a bit more.
Are there still non-video scoreboard options out there?
There are,
There are,
absolutely.
it'd be just basically like what we have, just a replacement version of it.
And I don't know what people need, one, I was just curious, so.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, actually, yeah, the bottom piece really is a scoreboard. The top piece
Would be the digital.
would be the digital screen. So that is two components right there, priced out separately.
Okay, because I mean, it's one of those where sometimes you can phase it, or you can get one, or I mean, if it was needed, I don't know if we would need a replacement of that scoreboard if it's broken, but.
I mean, I think there's some issues with it for sure. I think we've been routing some parts from some of the other scoreboards from what I hear. We would keep that one looking functional.
Yeah, one of those where maybe you could get that part and continue raising for the top half. I don't even know if installations work like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You guys got it.
That current one's been there since what, 98?
I think there was a newer version since then.
Oh, it has been updated.
Yeah, in 2014, maybe,
I think that's right.
20-ish.
That was used.
It was
It was used.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not aging myself, but I just remember playing the first game with that board, so. Okay.
these numbers also include the sound system. So the current sound system, as you guys might know, if you sit in the bleachers, is right next to your head, on the two close. So, and you can't really hear if you're actually on the field or across. So this is also including the sound system with the board. So it'd be a completely different sound system as well.
And the installation, I think, looks a little higher because we would have to move it,
Yes.
from where it currently sits. We'd have to move it. So
Have to move the position of the scoreboard?
we would have to move it, like if you're looking at the track to turn 2 versus.
Okay, but it'd still be set up on the west side of the field?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
It would be because that would be best for the wires currently.
right, okay,
But the current support system will not support.
what this is.
A lot more board there.
Yeah, a lot more support.
So then there would be additional expense to take down the existing.
We don't have a bid for, have an official bid to take down the system.
I can take it down.
Yeah.
I can take it down.
Maybe you just watch college.
Well, we don't want it again.
Upsets, they're easy to print.
As long as you don't wanna try to sell it, I can get it down for you.
You mentioned being able to plug in, like for like trackers, I'm looking at the picture, is there a way to like? For using Huddle, can you put? Like the live screen up there on the.
I think you can do like replays and things like that.
I mean, it'd be
honestly,
something to have, somebody would have to figure out how
Yes,
to do it.
yeah.
That would be
Yes,
possible.
yes, and you could do advertising, you can do any type of video if you want to interview students or anything you can broadcast there.
You could have, if you're doing like the, senior night or whatever, you could have their pictures up. I mean, there's a lot of options with the digital board. You just have to have somebody who's willing to learn how to program all of it.
Those sort of power track typing systems now. We just want to be who will learn it.
So there is some warranty that would come.
Yes. Different components have a different, like, warranty.
Like, what about a hailstorm that we experienced 2 years ago with that big hail? Is that a warranty deal or is that an insurance claim or? I
Probably
mean,
a combination.
is it a combination of both type deal? Because of one of those
Because I
hails,
would imagine the warranty's not gonna cover an active nature.
that's what I'm wondering. Okay.
And this size, if any of you guys have been to Colfax's new stadium, this is very similar in size to that, just to give you kind of an idea of what it would look like in person.
How long is your quotes good for? Most are like, what, 30, 60 days?
Not enough days.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say, yeah.
Probably not even that. I know our best was 2 weeks. Mhm.
Yeah, like I said, this particular one has already been up since we first received a quote on this 6 months ago. So it's,
and this would also include 2 new box, the plate box, yes, on the field, so they would work with them. This one.
and the fundraising for this would not take away from any of the other items that Booster has committed to supporting for the school. So we're not looking to take away anything that we currently do. This would be a completely different project, separate from all the other commitments that we already have.
Look at a couple 100,000 is, I mean. Town's done big things before, but is there,
And we're definitely gonna check out the grant option first.
are you looking at like? Bigger donors, like say like a Hy-Vee or a Fairway or I don't know, something like that.
Coke, Pepsi.
Yeah, Coke, whatever, you know, they're corporate donations, I guess.
Honestly, we haven't even,
Yeah, we haven't, we roundtabled a few ideas to get started, but we really haven't dived into it because we really didn't want to spend any more time on it until we got past this stuff. But yes, it's common to get bigger donors, but one thing we have to think about is boosters. We didn't really feel like we wanted to put permanent donors on the scoreboard. Other schools do that. I sort of feel like it starts to look pretty junky and layered by the time you start doing that. But there are ways that we can still advertise them on the screen and change those out every year and get possibly new ones even without having permanent ones put on the bottom. But yes, we would definitely be looking at putting together something that would, for businesses, where they make like a commitment and doing certain payments over the next however many years and putting it together.
Go back to what I actually said before, just out of curiosity, the digital versus non-digital, what's the price difference? You say that is that's not a thing.
I would imagine a non-digital, something similar to what we have is gonna be less than $15,000. If you were to replace what we have out there, I'm guessing it's gonna be in that ballpark.
Okay.
I know the baseball one was 14,000, so you're probably looking a little higher now, because that was several years
Sure.
ago, but I would say under 20 for sure. Honestly, we didn't price that option because that wasn't what we were shooting for, but yeah. I can certainly get prices if we need to table it or. Just,
But again, at this point, we're not asking the school for any money either. We're just asking for the support for us to move forward with creating a plan outside of the school financially. Otherwise, honestly, if we were just looking at a normal scoreboard, we would have, as boosters, probably have just bought that already and donated it.
I mean, I guess my opinion is, I mean, if you're just looking for approval, like, I don't have a problem with that. I just don't want anybody to get taxed out on this and this drags out for years and we go through 2 booster clubs and a 3rd booster club and we're still trying to raise $200,000, you know. I mean, I would hate for people to put blood, sweat and tears into this and then it just fizzles out. But I mean, if people are pretty confident that they can get this thing snowballing in the right direction, I guess I'm okay with that. I just, like I said, I just don't want people getting burnt out and then this is a want, not a need, I guess. I don't know, but that'd be my biggest fear. I just don't want, because I know you guys have been putting your time into it and will continue to. I just don't want anybody to get burnt out on it. So I guess that's one of my concerns. As the torch passes from club to club to club, is the next club going to be as ambitious as this club?
But we're hoping to have this accomplished before the end of our.
And how long is that?
3 more years.
4 more years.
So,
And we don't think.
I'm still here. That's my 2 cents worth there, I guess.
I mean, obviously, if we get the approval, we're gonna go gung ho and try and get this thing, I mean, I would say no longer than 2 years.
Sooner than later.
Like,
That's our goal.
it's silly to keep putting money into the one we have if we can
Agree with
get
that.
this going.
Yeah, I agree with that.
One question I have, and I probably agree with what Tyler just said, I'm just always curious when my mind goes on anything like this, it's like. You guys are gonna put in though a lot of effort to raise a lot of money. I know when I asked this, like, I guess my question is kind of a return on investment kind of deal. I mean, that's $200,000 going into scoreboard and sound system. When I say return on investment, there's really not a return on any sporting thing we do here, right? But the question would be like, putting that much effort into raising $200,000, why that versus maybe trying to raise $200,000 across all the sports in Baxter? You know, like to spread it out amongst all of them. Why do, what send you guys down the path of this being the?
Well, I think for one, we don't have $200,000 worth of needs across all sports, and the needs that we do have, I feel like we have addressed those with the school, volleyball, just as an example, they had a need that just came up. And we were fortunately able to help support that, just like any other sport where it's come up along the way. We've done what we can to support that. I haven't heard of any other major, I guess, fundraiser that needs to be done for something that we're missing right now. The scoreboard, I think we have sat, I know I have, for at least the last couple of seasons, and listened to very many community members talk about how terrible our scoreboard is, and how terrible the sound system is. So I think that partially led us, besides just seeing it ourselves, we've been hearing other chirping in the community about it. So then we go visit all of these other schools who are upgrading their facilities. I mean, I think there's been discussions about updating our facilities. It's just, of course, always a financial strain. And a scoreboard is one of the things we see in these other schools, and we're like, well, we need one. And yes, would it be pretty like showy? Is it a need? Maybe not, but I definitely think it would bring an upgrade to what our current stadium is.
Did they tell you what the lifespan is on them?
Yeah. The screen, of course, I mean, the scoreboard itself, I mean, that's.
They really talked about replacement of bulbs, things like that in the screen, like 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
But obviously the scoreboard itself, I mean, it's like what we have, so it's gonna last a while. It's just a matter of.
Yeah,
the
it's just
screen
the guns
replacing
are-
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the sound system, is that separate from the school? I mean, could you do the sound system
So the sound
like the
system,
first year maybe, and then this
Well, you can't do the sound system first because it's actually incorporated into the
into
design.
that? Okay.
So it's that square box that you see up at the top of the screen. It doesn't have to look exactly like that, but most of them do. So you could add it later, but it definitely would be a, either all in one or the second step versus.
and there are cheaper options, like we can go back to a pole system. And we can go to a smaller screen. But,
It's not significantly cheaper than either, correct?
and I think we would be much happier if we're gonna make this upgrade to go ahead and go with the better.
The sound system, there's a system currently like what we have, which we know doesn't work well. Or there's a couple options incorporating it. This is actually not the most expensive option. It's one next step down.
We mentioned return on investment, it got me thinking a little bit like. If you think about 4 or 5 home football games with how many people at a game between both, say both towns, probably. It's
Couple, 200-300.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's 1,500 people, and then 2 or 3 track meets, and those things just get wild, you know. I mean, that's a lot of people looking at the scoreboard. I guess.
And the sound, I mean, I heard the sound about the sound today with the kids.
Well, how many times have you seen a dance team dance a cappella up there because they can't hear the music?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's,
Yeah,
Would you, does there need to be an alternative plan if when the time limit is up and the money hasn't been raised, and does there need to be an alternative plan, like, okay, well, we still need to update it, because I think we're all in agreement that it probably needs to be updated, right? So that's a thought too,
Yeah.
because now you've raised some of this money and it's just sitting there, but you don't.
And like I
have-
said, we can always go smaller.
Yeah.
If that's something we want to do, or depending on.
what funds are raised at that time.
Right.
they get 150,000 in 2 years.
Yeah, because I would envision like over the next 2 years, we're just gonna piecemeal it to get it through to the 2 years, you know? And then if we get to the 2 years and we don't have the money, we need to decide what we're gonna do then. So should we, should we be putting money away in the middle of the 2 years also? Or, I don't know, I guess that's just,
Well, I
Makes
think
sense.
if we were to raise money and after 2 years, we decide that this was a project we can move forward with, we would have the fund, some funds to do something with, probably more than enough to do something. with, and if not, then
You could
your boosters would.
at least update the sound system or something out of it, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can if I can interject, I guess. But I mean, food for thought for what you're talking about with, long-term investors. If you were to reach your money, within that 2-year window, and then you still had investors or advertisers that wanted to continue advertising on the board, then you still have that income that would be a surplus and could start rattling into either maintenance or on the next project too.
So rolled away from maintenance for 10 years from the brick up.
Yeah, that's true.
Or use it for other things.
Can I interject one thing? I've only been out here 5 years, but I've set up the track meets and football games. And I'd say I've had 12 people that tell me, this is a very nice facility, we're lucky we have it. This is what we have to do.
Yeah, every time I think about what we got out there, how that came about. I mean, that was just all our community
Yeah.
and.
Yeah, and I don't anticipate that we won't raise it. I don't feel like it's probably very
speedy.
prudent of us if we don't think about the alternative.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been out there with things and that's just what we do.
And like I said, we were just looking at a regular forward replacement. We could have done that. I mean, it's just gonna help with that already, so just hoping to bring something extra.
I think, just thinking about kids, running track, they get done, they looking at their watch or trying to, use that thing went over the track, they want to see their time right away, right? They want to know, not that they can't wait 20 seconds, but to be able to look up, see it, or if they see a football replay or get interviewed at halftime, do like a live interview at halftime, that'd be for a kid to be on the video board at halftime. Yeah, I think there's. And then, like I say, just having some data, at least how to. Use it.
Right. That's like go back to, I mean, we spent all that money on that timing system for track, and it sounds like we junked it already. I mean, that's pretty damn disappointing.
It is 18,000.
We can attest to that as well. We just, as boosters, paid for the upgrade to happen, so we could start using it again if we're not using it. So we certainly are not looking to waste any more money.
Yeah.
Moving like these.
Fine, I mean, they're gonna raise some money and that, well, power to you.
And that information there, like I said, we've received several bids and haven't really committed to anything, and we're not really committing to that company yet either. This is just for purposes to get started, so as far as advertising, that's really. So not.
Right. We won't go into specifics in minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, lady.
Thank you.
I hit that Powerball, I'll be your first donation.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what is it now? It's all good.
Sound good.
Please put my name in the corner.
Yeah, excited to welcome our new SRO.
Yeah, I suppose that's me.
It looks like it.
Yeah. Wake him up from a nap. So I am Josh Britton. I'm a deputy, the Jasper County Sheriff's Office. I've been assigned as the Baxter School Resource Officer. And I couldn't tell you how excited I am to be part of the team. This is John. John and I are a crisis K-9 team in the training. So eventually John will be certified for critical incidents as far as a K-9 response goes. We've had, so it's crisis K-9s of the Midlands is the the 501c or 504c, whatever the nonprofit is, who come up with the idea for first responders to get through critical incidents as far as shootings, accidents, deaths, whatever trauma we might come across in the line of work. And so we are all first responder handlers, but since the inception a couple years ago, it's morphed into a lot more. They responded to the Perry shooting. They met kids at the hospital. They responded to Pella had a multiple stabbing issue at the school, so they responded down there. Bus accidents, all sorts of different things where, you know, dogs can just help kind of soothe emotions. So John is going through his obedience right now. We've got two different levels of obedience, then some desensitization, and then we'll go through our crisis academy in the spring of 26. So once that happens, then he'll be in the school full time. But we've all kind of in initial meetings and talks agreed that until he does have his full certification, that it's probably best to keep him out of the school with kids and everybody around. So yeah. As far as I go, this is actually my second tour with the sheriff's office. I was with the sheriff's office from 2009 to 2017. So wore a lot of different hats for them there. After that, my wife and I tried to do a small business in Newton, and then COVID hit, of course. I decided to have a job that I wanted to do versus needed to do. And at that time, went down to county roads. So I ran a maintainer for county roads. And then, long story short, I'm back with the EDSO to do this opportunity after some conversations with the sheriff. So yeah, super excited to be back. Diving in, this is my second full week. Well, actually, I don't know, 6 days where I'd be actually committed to the school after I had to do a short FTO process with the sheriff's office to kind of figure out what I forgot, sort of thing, catch up with technology and all that good stuff. But then once we got up here, dove right in. Chris was able to get me some safety plans, lockdown drills, all sorts of different things to just start diving into, see what needs to be updated, see what needs to be looked at, something that maybe need to be rewritten or just brought up to kind of what everybody else is doing in the country or in Iowa or sort of thing. So that kind of being said, we actually have a meeting down in Prairie City tomorrow afternoon with them. And so myself, TJ Decker, who's going to Linville Sully, is going to go down there and just start talking safety plans and what, if we can just get like a county response, then that would be great to have a one blanket for every school. So a couple of things that I've been looking into since I've been up here is, like I said, the safety plans, the drills. Julie and I actually tested the emergency radios today in the school. So there's 4 radios. I thought there were only 3. There are 4. There's one in the kitchen that seems to be forgotten, apparently. All 4 radios do work. All of the emergency buttons on the radios work themselves. We did find that there was an additional from Walsh. That's the security company. Walsh did an additional button on each radio. It's kind of just a bigger target to hit. And I think it was about 50-50. There's 2 that do work and 2 that don't. So we'll have to get looked into that. Maybe I just was operating them, wrong or something. But so all the radios work with dispatch. So what that does is each secretary in the kitchen or anybody who knows what they're doing can push the red button on the radio, and that sends a county-wide school alert, and it leaves a mic open for 30 seconds. So then they can yell, "This is back to school," whatever it may be. And then the dispatch is talking directly to the school through the radios. So that was put in place 5 years ago with the state. And then, so yeah. So that was that. And then I got into the Permar panel. We kind of played with that a little bit as far as tornado sirens, all clear, figured out how to do the PA system in there. So that'll be kind of fun to play with a little bit. We do need to figure out, one thing that I have questions on is the FFA room. If there's a tone or if there's a page or something, can the FFA room hear that, how they can respond in an emergency or how they can get a hold of somebody in an emergency. And then also if there's a tone for a active killer or active killer event or sort of thing. Or if it is silent. I talked to the sheriff, he couldn't remember, if it was supposed to have an alarm or not. But then there's also a question because Craig silenced some alarms, but kind of here or there. So it was a good day of playing, with the system a little bit. Yeah, so I've kind of hit the ground running, drinking water from a fire hose and, all the things. Getting to know teachers, getting to the school, and getting super excited. So I don't know if you guys have any questions of me right off the bat. I'd be happy to field anything really. Kind of talked about a little bit what my role looks like. With this as far as a safety plan or kind of a checklist of, hey, this is what's been going on. A report, every other month or whatever it may be, quarterly, something like that. But then, also being involved with the day-to-day of teachers as far as, if there is an opportunity to educate some kids is making better choices. Not necessarily getting violent with the teacher for, trying to make them do something or get them to do something in school. And not necessarily, I would rather educate versus charging and start a juvenile record right off the bat. So we can avoid that. That's kind of my approach to it. But obviously if the charges do warrant it, then it needs to be taken care of. And that's kind of my job. One thing that we've talked about with the school principals and everybody is my role within the school, keeping everybody safe. I've got the ability to search I've got some different parameters to search, schools or kids, cars, parents, whatever it may be, that's coming into the school environment. It's basically free game for me. And that's through case law, through, the Supreme Court. So that's one of those things. And so anything law enforcement wise will kind of be coming through me. We've already had conversations about some incidents last year or years past. But then one thing that I won't be doing is suspending kids or, any sort of school administration punishments or anything like that. That's not to say that I can't recommend it. But that would be, like I said, just a recommendation. So, super excited. If anybody's got anything for me or want to know anything about, John is a 6-month-old Goldador. So he is,
Very active.
He's pretty excited.
He's not snoring. So I can go pretty much from classroom to classroom. I wake him up in one classroom, I'll go next door to the next and he'll fall asleep, within 5 minutes or so. So, as he gets trained and it goes through, the hope really is that I'll be able to have him sit or stay in a room, and then I can leave, and then that allows that person to open up even more so with a dog. We've used the crisis canine quite a bit in victim advocacy with the CA's office, even down at the U.S. Attorney's office in Des Moines. One of the conversations that we've had already is kind of with reluctant readers. Those students that might not be super confident to read in front of another person, that I could have him sit and they could read a book to just the dog and kind of build the confidence that way. So I think the options are endless when it comes to him. It's just a matter of making sure that we find that balance of, the kid doesn't want to just throw a tantrum just to see, the dog. We have to find that good proper reward of, go all day without throwing the tantrum and then tomorrow we'll see him or something like that. So again, I'd be happy to answer any questions or whatever you guys might have.
You have a school email address that is
Yes.
the same format as ours. So,
Yep.
and that's active and ready to go.
Yep, I have school email. I've got access to the cameras. Greg and I are working on getting it to my computer so that way I can have a little bit better system to do some investigations on. I've got JMC so I can see enrollment, I can see attendance and everything like that. Where you've talked about getting the passes, access to all that, so I can see as I'm roaming halls, I can see what kids are supposed to be out, what kids are not, how long kids are supposed to be out, sort of thing. I think we've got a pretty good first full week down as far as getting into it. The big question for
for me that I have is just that school safety plan, the emergency response, sort of plan that we come into place. So I have one that I'm looking into, which is called I Love You Guys, which comes from an actual school shooting in Colorado. Family lost a daughter, and then they've gone through all the steps and said, hey, this can be better. So they came out with a national program that would help schools kind of respond. So that's kind of one avenue. If we were to do that, I would need a commitment from the board, but I would absolutely have more information to share with you guys where we're going at. But then, like I said, go try to get into that county response where everybody in the county is on the same page. So if any law enforcement would be responding, they know what's going to be going on. And then, reunification too is kind of a big deal too. So getting kids back with their parents, and making sure everybody knows what's going on, and transparency sort of thing. So
Welcome. I'm excited to have you.
yeah.
And I love all the preparation and stuff that you're doing. I would say one of my goals when I was advocating for this position was that to be more of a proactive guidance and just be in your presence, being in the building, helping support. I know that we attempted an SRO before. There's a lot of feedback that they never were really out and seen. So that would be one of the things that I would be looking for is how can we introduce you and make it known that you're here as just as a positive presence in the building, you're here to support, and then also that you can stay a consistent presence in the halls. Stuff that.
Yeah, I've got a really nice office that they have given me to rent. But I hope to not really use it all that much. I've got a really, positive outlook on that. I can shine a positive light on law enforcement. So I can be, I've talked to teachers about letting me read kids, letting kids read to me, trying to do something with my car. Kid really likes sirens or something. One of the benefits for me that I get to live off of my wife. My wife was a school resource officer for Newton for 6 years or so. So she's gotten lots of ideas. And I've already had some I told you so's that, that wasn't gonna work or, I was gonna, no, I can do it my own way. So yeah, no, I don't wanna, I will be absolutely in the eye. We've already talked about some football games, some basketball games, dances, that I've, be in attendance with, which kind of brings me up to a different point, but we do have the sheriff's office. There is a Baxter deputy, and then there's the Baxter SRO. So there are two of us. It is two separate positions. But then if I have to go to training with John, or I've got two kids of my own, so if I've got to stay home and play dad, then we do have the ability to cover down. You can have the Baxter deputy check in with the school, make sure everything's going good for the day. And then, like I said, even go into football games with me or with, in my absence or something like that. So we planned as best that we could to give you the best service that we can. So
Talk a little bit about, how you had a little bit of a conversation with us, in the office the other morning about whether it's a city, situation or whether it's a school situation and how you would handle each.
So yeah, I've kind of gotten into a unique position. So on top of my hats that I wear, I'm also an EMT. So I've heard rumors or I've heard rumblings anyways of the city is having trouble staffing ambulances for EMS and everything. So one of the conversations that we've had, John, personal space, come on, man. One of the conversations that we've had is if it's a true emergency, life or death, I can go out and help stabilize that patient. But more than likely, I'm not going to ever transport with the city ambulance. And that basically is just kind of I think once it starts happening, then it'll be a dependent sort of thing. And I don't want to get to that point where, I'm just, well, Josh is here, so he'll come show up. The other thing is that in an emergency call, if there's a violent domestic, if there's some sort of, happenings within the city during school hours, then I'll be going. However, since this is a grant position that the sheriff's office has received, all of the patrol duties are secondary for me. So as soon as one of the other deputies shows up, the scene is safe, then I can bug out and say, hey, you get all the paperwork, I'm going back to read the kindergartners or something. So Troy Baylor is the city deputy at this point. That might be a changing position as far as bid shifting and all that goes, but Troy's super excited. He's walked around the schools with me several times. He assisted with me with the radios. So everything that I'm kind of learning, we're making sure that Troy knows as well, because he would be the first backup for me to show up to. So he was me to let him know that what we're doing. So, but yeah, any city calls that can wait for him to come out will be his responsibility, and the school will be strictly mine. So,
I guess one thing we've always, big safety issue we have every year is like school mornings, drop off, traffic, pickup, that time, before, after school.
Mhm.
It's a city street. Is that his responsibility then, or is that kind of a?
So that's gonna be the gray area. I absolutely have authority to do law enforcement wherever I want to in the state of Iowa. My hours right now are planning on 4 10-hour days. Tuesday through Friday, I'll be out at 6:30 in the morning and then till 4:30 in the afternoon. Then with the ability to shift or whatever I need to do to cover dances or football games or whatever extracurriculars. So one of the conversations already was just the presence, of my patrol car out there. Troy's been doing a really good job, I think, of as far as educating, Baxter when it comes to, hey, we're not out here just trying to give a ticket. These are the reasons why we're out here, whether it be a complaint or safety or whatever it may be. So, I think the first couple weeks is just going to have to be, observing, seeing what we can come up with. Chris and I have already had some conversations as far as, do I need to be making circles around the school in my patrol car? I really have no issues with just walking out and tell the person we need to have a chat. I have the ability to run all the plates that I want to, so I can have a conversation with a student or parent after hours too, so I don't, take up a lot of time and all that. So yeah, it's always gonna be an issue, I think, especially with having actually a big parking lot for everybody to be into. But I think we can certainly do better. One of the things that I've kind of thought about already is a little bit more or better signage, especially when it does go one way on the south side here. So that it's very clear, whether we roll out, one-way signs in the middle and just leave them out there and, try to be more cost effective as we can. But as long as those things are posted and approved by the city, then it's a state law that people have to obey with. So then I can enforce the traffic after that. So.
More foot traffic than traffic problem.
Yeah.
Kids run every which way.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do anything about that, but it will be, I think, it's a great opportunity to come at it from an education standpoint, from a law enforcement officer, and talk about, hey, these are the things that I've seen when a kid runs into the street without looking, or, just the safety aspect of things. And again, kind of feeding off my wife, they do a safety city thing. It's not super hard to put on. We can do it in the park, we do it in the gym on a rainy day. Just set up, hey, this is why we have to look both ways, or this is why you can't just run into the street. So. Yeah.
Like Ashley said, we're excited to have you here.
Yeah.
It's been a process. I think it's all something we felt pretty important that
Yep.
our school needed, and safety, security was top of our minds. So
Yeah.
glad you're here.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. That Chris and I have talked and played, and Zach too, everybody's tried their best to have their lane and then try to cross over into that, but this is kind of, what I do and what we do as a sheriff's office. So the sheriff is absolutely more than willing to bend over backwards to try to, get everything up to speed and as safely as we can, and get to the point where it's just another day to be talking about these things, and everybody knows what's going to happen if something does happen. So. Yeah.
Thanks, John.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Principal's reports.
I can start.
You guys have a dog for us to enjoy?
He's got us there. He's a pretty good talker too. Go, Kenny. He can sure go. So I guess it's just been, the last couple of weeks are just a little hectic as we get things back and trainings and speakers and some of the things going around. But for me, obviously, it's great to have a veteran staff and we can just really hit the ground running. We've had some staff names and things that we need to get for making sure we have all our ducks in a row. But just kudos to them. Obviously, very veteran staff that knows what's going on, knows how we want to do business. And so it's been really an easy transition over the last 2 weeks as they get into the building. But over the summer, we did have Cheryl did some summer tutoring. She had 6 different students that she saw throughout the summer. And she logged some different times throughout the week all summer long. So thankful for her and doing that and really trying to reach those kids and obviously just trying to eliminate some of that summer slide that we get with some. And so it's just kudos to her for the time that she's given to those students to hopefully set them up for success into the next school year. Want to shout out also to Amanda and Angie as they hit the ground running at the very first part of August. I mean, Amanda with all the ordering and the POs, obviously the new website, those things that are big around here, so that our teachers can come in and have the things that they need and just get ready to go. And Angie, obviously with the new position, with all the things that we need for concussions and physicals and registration and all those pieces, just obviously 2 great people that do great things that make my job a lot easier, and a lot of those people around him as well. So just want to give them a shout out for what they've done over the last couple of weeks. In our world, we've obviously got open house tomorrow, an opportunity for students to come and meet their new teachers, but also drop off their supplies, just some meet and greet and get able to be around their friends again for the first time. So excited to have those students and families back in the building. Also want to just give a shout out to the PTO, who's also had a lot of things ready to go for teachers this week to get the excitement back, to having them back in the building, some different gifts and some different ideas for the next week, as just to start our year off with a good note. And the PTO group does a great job of doing all things for our teachers. One thing that we are trying to start or looking into starting is a backpack program. And really what this is not necessarily a response to the 4-day week. We did some research on whether or not food insecurity was going to be an issue as moving to the 4-day week. But many schools do have some type of backpack programs for those students that maybe do have that, especially when they're going on to a now 3-day weekend as opposed to 2. So looking to send something out and see if it's something that any of our elementary and maybe even middle school, high school families have a need for. And just testing the waters and see if there are families out there that would benefit from that possibility. And Jill Halter has taken kind of the lead on that and working with some others that have had some previous experience with it. So just wanted to share the possibility, the idea of that roaming around, just trying to see if there's any families out there that are in need of, as we've moved this switch to the 4-day week. So something that will probably come out over the next week and a half or so.
Our student council helps with the food, the red line.
Yes,
So
yes, yep.
they would be good to help
And
with
that's
facilitating that.
Yep. And obviously it's in connection working with Bruce up there and so something that we just want to make sure that we offer it if there is a need. So see what comes over the next 2 weeks with that and I'll report back of anything that does come of it. And then obviously the last thing I have is just I know it's on a list later, but the custodial staff over the summer, obviously they put in a ton of time to get the building back to where it needs to be. And it looks fantastic. And so I just wanted to make sure that I give them a shout out too for the work that they've done and obviously Ed and Don out at the complex, obviously getting everything ready for our fall seasons. It just takes a ton of people. It takes a village to make the place the way it is and people that are proud about it. And just want to and show my appreciation for all those people around us that get us ready to go back for school. And so thanks.
Well, don't quite have the experienced staff that this guy has. So we've spent some time just going over some of the very basics. Had all new teachers and their mentors here this past Friday on the 15th. That was a great day. It's been great to see everybody back in the building. Really looking forward to open house tomorrow night, getting the kids in here. We started with just very procedural type things with our new staff, but then as all of our teachers got here on Monday, kind of transition into more of like the nuts and bolts of how we're gonna move forward. We had our Atlas Rubicon, which is our curriculum mapping program that we're gonna be using for the next foreseeable future. Kind of laid out a 3-year roadmap with all of our staff the other day and started some initial trainings with some of their training experts that we partner with. Very eye-opening, but also very good to just really talk about, teaching and learning in the instructional process. Well, I kind of geek out about some of that stuff, but it was good to get and hit the ground running with that. We'll look to get that going. Eventually in the future with that program, you can actually get your curriculum, at least certain aspects of it, forward facing, which means you can link it live to like your school website, so you can actually follow along with like, hey, here's our units, here's our timelines, just different things and aspects with that. So it's a multi-year, multi-step process, but really excited about the future of that. So we started that kind of whole process as a group yesterday. DMAT courses, both our Career Academy, which is in person, and our online courses actually started today. So there are always some bumps with that, sign-in issues, just a lot of the tech issues with that. But overall, it's going to be good. There's a lot of courses that are happening, both in person and online for students. So just getting those going just really brings to light the fact that it is that time to get going. So obviously we have open house tomorrow night and everyone here on Monday, and we couldn't be more excited. Looking forward to it. Here we go.
Questions?
Do you feel better about where you're at this year versus last year?
Absolutely, I do. And even just even being able to have enough people, qualified, high quality people that we could match for almost one-to-one mentoring type situations. It's going to be much more powerful and impactful for all. So that's been good to have too. But yes, overall, I feel much better about year 2 than where I was last year at this time. So yeah, you bet.
Does everybody feel like good about the blocks of time, like how things will shift with reporting schedule and breaks and?
That was definitely, I would definitely say the biggest conversation piece that we've had, especially with our curriculum, is just like, I don't want to say absorb some things, but like, I mean, yes, the class lengths are longer by 8 minutes each, but we've got 26 less instructional days. So really just even for our first year goals for our curriculum is to really like outline exactly what our units are and the timelines that it's going to be. And that's going to take some adjusting and what you're actually going to get covered in a day, and then that 4-day week as opposed to what you had for over 5 days in a week. That's going to be, there's going to be some learning and I can see about mid-year people saying like, oh my gosh, or even towards the end of the semester, like I'm not where I thought I was going to be, or there's just going to have to be some things we need to adjust to. So it'll be interesting, but it'll be good.
I'll probably personally ask a lot of questions along the way
Sure.
each meeting about how people are adjusting and feel like things are moving along. And
Yep.
I mean, between that and then the communications about the stuff we talked about last time,
Correct.
cell phone usage, clear instruction about how we're going to handle different situations and trying to get everybody
Sure.
on the same page, the retakes and the kids understanding those expectations.
Absolutely.
I think they're really exciting changes.
Good. Yeah, me too. I think so.
You
But
guys
it
are on the
takes
front
time.
lines of people not thinking.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. It's all good. But yes, it sounds good.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a change, but I say it's time to make the changes and then you can
Mhm.
use that class time better.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
So this is a resolution, basically to put our voted pebble on the ballot in November. This continues what we're already doing. So it's that it just stays in place, doesn't increase taxes. We generate just under 100,000. Some of it's from property tax, some of it's from income surtax. So it's almost about a 50-50 split. So this resolution just gives us the ability to put it on the ballot. We are putting it on a year. We have two chances here, so we're being a little proactive. We're putting it on this year, but if it were to fail this year, we have another year that we can put it on as well.
So it's a 10-year,
Yes, yep.
we're going for 10 years. So we're at like in year 9 right now. But, you know,
Yeah, because next year would be year 10, or is that how it rolls?
December 31st for each calendar year, commencing with calendar year 27, so 26 it is. Yes,
So,
yes.
with this, I mean, that would, we don't redo it, it's coming out of general fund, right?
correct,
Right, and
Mowers that we're talking about.
correct. All
about,
facilities, yeah,
Roofs.
facilities, technology,
any equipment, I mean, we're dealing with some coils that we're struggling with right now. That fall under the threshold of equipment breakdown insurance. So we use PEPAL and SAVE and the PEPAL also generates an income surtax, so it's not only on property
Not
owners,
just
but it's getting income surtax. That income surtax goes to the general fund. So which helps with instructional.
well, the laptops.
Mhm.
That's a couple purchase.
And this isn't one that, I know we always say it doesn't increase your taxes because it's already there. But if it were to fall off, it doesn't cause any actual like noticeable shift
Decrease.
down for anybody.
Not
So,
large. 'Cause the
I mean,
portion-
it's,
The
it's
portion,
so
the
small.
portion that's property
So
tax is
small.
very small. Yes, correct.
So nobody's gonna be like, oh, I get a relief because it doesn't really help
Right.
from their side, it's just the collective.
It's actually 67 cents on $1,000. Is what would cost taxpayers.
67.
Per thousand.
It's
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to put the continuation of the levy on the ballot for November.
Second,
John Northrup,
Yes.
Tyler Higgins,
Yes.
Ashley Kachara,
yes.
Ray Hauser,
Yes.
and
Yes.
thank you.
Policy.
And this is just for review here. And I'll talk about this a little bit in my report, or I won't, we'll talk about it now. We did purchase the subscription through Simply. So once the 400 through 600s have been approved, then we're gonna submit to Simply, correct?
Yes, yes.
So once those are done, then we'll submit everything to Assembly. And they've already started the process of aligning our codes with IASB's codes. And then we'll begin the process of aligning our policies and language to update to where IASB's languages are as well in each policy. So this is just kind of a reminder to take a look at some of those things. I know Tyler had offered some that, you know, if there's some language things you see added into the, I think it was about operating a cell phone while driving non-buses, right? School vehicles.
Well, we specified it under driving the buses.
Yeah.
I just brought it up that we should probably add it to if you're driving a school vehicle, but those should probably
Engine would just be.
match up with one another. Can't have it one and not the other. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of, we got into semantics, because it's like, we don't say hands-free, we say not at
Not at
all.
all, yeah.
So, yeah. So no action on that, it's just kind of a reminder, I think we'll take action in September.
Yeah. This can, well,
All right,
if you don't have any corrections, this could be our second reading. Because we started it last month, right?
That's how I took it. That's what I read.
Yeah,
there are additional changes in the August meeting. in
if you
September,
were gonna make
Okay.
changes right now with
Okay.
this one, then there would be another meeting. So this could be the second.
Excluding.
So
It was before,
Okay.
so I got it changed.
I was gonna say, that's how I understood it, to get it in before tonight, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That way we can kind of push the ball rolling a little faster.
Yes, yes,
Perfect.
yes.
Can you explain that? Like, said that when you move it over to assembly, it matches up.
So like our code numbers are not the same as IASB's.
Because we
Okay.
don't always
We
need
have
to adopt what, everything that
That
they
you don't have to do
have.
it that way, and your policies are, I mean, many of them were drafted in the seventies and things like that, so. IASB doesn't have 1,000 series, we have a 1,000 series. And so what they'll do is they'll look at what is included in our 1,000 series and say, where does that fit in with IASB's? The benefit of that is when legislation is passed that forces a change in board policy, IASB pushes it out through their primer. We'll have the ability with this system to basically just import that into ours, change the language that's school specific and go from there. It streamlines the entire process.
Would we still need to approve that then though?
Always,
Yes.
yeah.
That's what I was trying to get at, if it's somehow like code numbers or languages a little bit, we'd still have to read over
Well,
those, correct?
Yeah, it's a law that we still have to review board
On
policy
site.
every 5 years. We
But
do it
if
every
something
3.
changes, say this
Yes,
code 400.
we would still go through the
Go
same
through the
process,
series,
yeah.
yeah.
What I'm not sure of is, I was thinking about,
It has to be a policy change, not necessarily a
Yes.
code number change.
Right.
yeah, so if there were no
Language,
changes,
yeah.
it was just law changes. Do those need to be,
Oh, they don't probably necessarily have to have 2 readings,
but they have to have
but
one?
they probably need to have 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it's only just law.
Yeah, if it's, I mean, we're still required to do it, but I think we still have to have documentation kind of thing.
Okay.
So I lied, we are taking action on this.
Then
Well, that's how I understood it, so
all
I'm not.
policies.
Stadium.
All series will be uploaded. Not just-
All of it. All of the series will be uploaded. They actually were like, I mean, he gave them the yes, and they were emailing me that
Yeah.
afternoon saying, we need your policies.
Yes.
So I kind of put the brakes on them a little bit because we've done so much work on the 4s to 6s, that if we upload that and any of that school specific stuff that we've put in there would be lost. So once that gets approved, then we can upload that, it'll stay, or they'll highlight what's school specific and we can decide then, do we keep it, do we not keep it? Whatever.
Typically what they'll do is they'll upload it and they'll send Julie a spreadsheet that says, here's what your policy says. Here's what the primer says. What do you want to do? And then that, if we want to change the language of that policy, then obviously it's probably has a series
Yeah.
at that point.
Then there will be, I'm thinking about Ashley here, will there be a new link on the website to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they have their own.
I'm on-
folder.
You're gonna be staying up all night just waiting for it to happen. Well, what I like about it is exactly what you were concerned about, is that, and what I haven't actually seen what that looks like, but like when it's in draft form or
Yeah.
when we're in the middle of updating or something like that. That's what it signals you that that's what's happening, right?
It does, and then the other part of it too, like we talked about, how the issues we've run into with ownership, right? So these are on the our Assembly site, they're not on Julie McWhorter's Google Docs.
I just remember Sheriff Britton saying he geeks out on the safety security. Well, I geek out on this stuff, so. It's insane.
If Tyler read through them, you gotta be okay.
I needed some light reading a bunch.
That's like, you're 20 pages, cool. There's
A motion?
the other changes, yeah, we'll take a motion.
I'll motion to, one of my motion.
To approving the updates and the second reading of the board
Take a
policies.
motion to approve the second reading of board policies 4 through 600.
You got it.
Second that.
Favor say aye. Say no. Policy has been approved.
Yeah, so if you click on that strategic plan, it kind of takes you through what we'll have for the next 3 years. As far as within the building, this is something that, we developed in really January through May. Administrators, our leadership team basically looked at what was there. There were no major changes, just because the targeted strategies that were included were still things that we are in the process of implementing. So you'll see the 3 categories of a safe and collaborative culture, effective teaching in your classroom, and then the guaranteed viable curriculum. If you kind of scroll down through that, it breaks each one down. Talks a little bit about what does that look like from a staff standpoint, what's it look like from a student and family standpoint, what's it look like from a school and community standpoint. Really what we did is we took out some of the outdated language, maybe some of the programs that were no longer being implemented within some of these categories, and sort of the things that we are doing.
First off, we get rid of the greater country sign.
With that, the formatting of this.
Can we reformat?
We're trying to,
Okay.
editing this document, I think initially Wendy owned it, but there was some of the editing pieces, yes, we will try that. We were deleting something.
Easy to
and
do
it
a little
was-
copy and paste into a fresh version here,
Everything
because.
It's like take the pen mark.
It's taking more time than what they had.
It said TLS in there.
That's not TLC.
Okay.
I want to be clear about that. We still have a teacher leadership system, right? Because we still have a mentoring and induction program. And that's kind of what those things fall under.
System S versus compensation C.
We had that conversation, do we remove it? We said no, because we still have, it's not through TLC, but we still have some of the framework from it really looks more like the mentoring system prior to TLC.
Then this whatever.
Yeah.
Your mom. That gonna change them. One thing is do this, gosh, we've been doing this for how many years, Jen? I'm looking at this plan. I mean, we talk about higher reliability schools and GVC, all this. I mean, is there a progress? Like, where are we at? Kind of a set of fresh eyes on this deal. Where are we at with?
What I think probably your principals can speak to that a little bit more, and you guys can talk a little about the handbook that we created toward the end of last year, that we pushed out at the end of last year. Toward the end of Wendy's, but if you want to talk about even the evaluation piece or what we've done with teachers a little bit.
Yeah, obviously we continue to try and find ways to find growth in this particular document, right? And so one of those is really searching for going down Marzano and trying to decide what we can do to better implement teaching practices and for our end, how can we make evaluation really beneficial to teachers? And so trying to get out of that old way of what evaluation looks like. And now when we come into the room, how can we make it be beneficial for you so that you continue to grow? And it's around these ideas. So really just taking this entire concept and trying to make it feel like every piece of what we do, including the evaluation process, the coaching process, all falls under this strategic plan.
And the Atlas Rubicon stuff that Clay mentioned earlier a little bit falls in this guaranteed viable curriculum. So we're just beginning that, and I'll let you speak to that, and maybe you can speak to, why we did it and what we've noticed teachers coming in the district at the secondary have run into from a curriculum standpoint.
It actually really aligns kind of well with what you're just talking about with this whole assembly program. And as policies change, like you just need systems to really document what's happening. Well, when we've had such a large turnover in staff at the secondary level, we found that we had a lot of teachers that were doing a lot of good things, but they were kind of doing their own thing, and it wasn't really well documented. It wasn't housed in one spot. We have new staff coming in. Well, who was doing what? Well, so we've been constantly starting over with new people. So now it's like we're getting everybody on the same page. It's going to look similar, specific to their content area, but we're going to get things like outline. What are their units? What are their timelines for that? What standards are we prioritizing and matching them to? What do our lessons look like? How are we assessing students? And then what do we do when students both don't understand And if they are, and maybe already have some of this knowledge even before they even begin learning about a particular unit, how do we help those students continue to stay accelerated as well? So it's really just a whole process of, are we doing what we say we're going to do and provide that guaranteed viable curriculum? And what do we do to make sure that all students are being challenged all the way through? And that process should continue, even if you do unfortunately have new staff that come in. And that process should not be broken. You should not have to start all over. So unfortunately, I wish I could say we were further along in the process, but we're not. However, I'm excited about the future of it. It's going to take some time to get to that point where we have everything systemically where we want it to be.
And there's
That's
never
a lot of words, I'm sorry.
And that's the thing, you know, like I said, I know there's not an end, that's good,
Mhm.
right? Because you always be improving, but like I say, we've been staring at this document for years and it's like, are we progressing on that? And of course, like I say, new people move in, but that's the
Yep.
point of this thing. is
Correct.
A new principal comes in, okay, this is how we do
This is where we are.
Right, and you know, and read some of the teachers' comments, you know, like Atlas Rubicon, well, we tried it a couple years ago, and
Mhm.
you know, just making sure we stay true to this and.
Yeah.
I think that the one thing that is probably not for now, but I'd love to see in the future is figuring out a way to make it more measurable. So we can have sort of like a little dashboard.
Well, yeah.
Here's how we know what's working, what's not working. And you guys may have metrics that we're not seeing, but that's what like would resonate to me.
I was thinking as you say that, and I was thinking it before, we have taken self-assessments, and so we have our teachers rate based on where we are, and we look at that data from year to year to see what categories we're having success in and what categories we're not. All categories from leadership all the way, you know, to curriculum, and those are all assessed, PLC, all that stuff. So our teachers will gauge that, and we've looked at it from year to year to see where we're growing and maybe where we're falling behind or where we need to make adjustments. And so we've looked at that data in our DLT or even our district-wide team, but it may be something that we want to consider to bring here if it's something that can show where we're going.
And if we're going to the work to get people to sign off on being able to survey.
Yeah.
And we get
Mhm.
some participation from families, similar
Sure.
line of questioning. So each one of these points actions that we are working on, can we evaluate year over year? Do we think that we're making headway or not? So
No, we can.
Yeah, and we've done my celebrations and growth as far as, you know, in the past, so just continue to look at that data and see where are we having our successes and where are the areas of growth for sure.
sometimes it just feels like it's more work to do a gut check evaluation than
Yeah.
to just have
Oh.
some
It can be hard to look in the
easy
mirror.
survey stuff and be like, okay,
Yeah.
you know, I thought it was going this direction, but that tells me I was right or wrong. But again, there's something going on right now that I don't know if it's an immediate task, but something to think about for.
Absolutely. Yep. If that helped at all. That was a lot of word vomit I gave you, but.
Yeah, I think
It was a continuous
Gotta do it.
process, so, and it shouldn't stop no matter who is in what seat. It really shouldn't, so. We got a long ways to go at the secondary level, I can say that. But it's good. It's the right work. It's the important work. And so when some of our staff have said, oh, yeah, I don't really know about this. Well, I've had some of those individual conversations with people too. This is the work that we need to do, and this is why. Because we can't interrupt the process. of learning.
Questions? Through the strategic plan.
So many.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Who was the first? Sorry.
John, and we'll give it to Ashley.
Sure.
They say no, okay, strategic plan's approved. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a busy summer. I know, Zach touched on it a little bit, but the custodial staff has put a ton of work in, a lot of painting. The room across the hall got new carpet, new paint, looks completely different, looks great. Their biggest internal project really has been the floors. And I know that, how's that a big project? because I don't know that they've been actually stripped down to the tile in a decade. I think maybe they thought that that's what was occurring, but it was not. So there are probably maybe 7 to 8 layers of wax. So when you walk down on the tile floor, if you get a chance, go down to the cafeteria. Because that's where they started. And so they stripped the cafeteria down to the tile and then re-waxed it. And then walk up the hallway because you'll see where it stops. If you notice, when you walk on our tile floor, especially in the lower part, they kind of look dirty. But because it's just layers of wax and trapped dirt in there, because we hadn't been stripping them down to the tile and re-waxing. So that's been a huge undertaking. They're going to continue over break to chip away at it, but it is a very laborious process because a lot of it has to be scraped with hand scrapers. So cafeteria looks great. Kudos to those guys where they started on that. Greg's done a great job so far. Learning curve, learning process. We're getting our controls switched over here real soon to Woodman's by the end of the month. So that process has gone great. But I just want to thank them for the work they've done. The other couple bigger things on here that you've seen is one of the things we've been looking at is a new to us, I guess, skid. The one we have is not enclosed. We do use it to move snow. Don, this may be where you chime in a little bit on some of the equipment that we have. And so as we've looked at what we're doing and moving forward in some of those processes, we're trying to find ways that maybe we can improve the process for those that we have and work a little bit smarter. So we reached out and we did find a used one that seems like a pretty good deal. It's on there. You can see the information, the specs are on there. This would be something that we would utilize. You know, we would have forks for it, a bucket, as well as a sweep. It makes it a little bit easier when clearing sidewalks. So we'll start with that. Questions on what questions do you have on that piece of equipment? It's a little bit, when we talk about this, it's a little bit like when we purchased a van, right? It's not really something that you have an RFP for because you don't have specific specs. So you can't say I want, you know, these specs on a used vehicle like this. So it's a little bit different. It's kind of, you have to, if something comes available and you want to go, you have to go, unless you wanted to get a new machine, then we could put it out with an RFP.
Does it have a windshield?
It's enclosed and heated.
And air
I
conditioning.
was told those the requirements that would keep you around for another winter. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. We're snow with no windshield, you know, nobody gets.
Do you have individual machines?
It freezes over, it's not happening. I mean, I don't have anything about it, all I heard is roof. What power side? What kind?
It's
The Bobcat.
yeah, it's a Bobcat. It's got about 2,000 hours on it.
Is that about hours, John?
It had like 2,000 hours on
Is
it.
that a lot?
No,
Okay.
the only thing I saw is I didn't know if we had any history on where it kind of, it seemed like it had surface rust on it and,
It was from a landscaping company.
okay. I just want to make sure it didn't come out of a fertilizer plant because them things are a nightmare. But,
No, it came from a landscaping company.
yeah,
They got a decal on there, but I don't know.
Yeah, he said we could get that off somehow. He like was Google or whatever you call it.
You got a phone number here.
Okay.
yeah.
He said he would service
We've
it.
got 2 buckets now. We use a bigger one for snow.
Yeah.
One for dirt stuff.
And it's our understanding, they think that the bigger one will fit,
Our buckets are interchangeable with this.
the
Okay.
big one.
Bigger one.
We're gonna get rid of the little one, because the little one's coming
Coming
with this
with it.
one. And then we're gonna get a sweeper too.
Okay, I want to keep the 42.
Yeah.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
keeping those two, and they think those are interchangeable as well.
If those are fit, that's fine though. I'll take the big bucket out to the tramping or with somebody's permission. And then they put a new cutting edge on it. It's getting more on the cutting end, but other than that, it's a good bucket.
Horsepower that.
I think it's like 70 or 75. I think it says it's non-deaf, so I think it's like 74, because I think it's the 75 and over, they gotta have deaf, so I think that's like the biggest one you can get that's non-deaf.
66 horsepower, but
That what it says. It's bigger than the one we have now. I think that one we have now is like 45 horse or something. But, yeah, and it was getting, I mean,
At 3,500 hours on here.
yeah, and it's hard to get parts for it.
Yeah.
I just wonder,
Company's out of business.
think about that, talking about the trees there a couple months ago, getting new trees. The stump's still out there.
Pardon me?
The old stump's still out there from the old trees that we've had to cut down.
There's a couple of those, but
I just wonder if we can get a stump grinder or rent, throw on this thing, get those ground up.
they're just two, and they're on the south side of the fence, but they're the west.
Oh, okay.
And the only reason over there is the guy that was dumping stuff couldn't get there because there was snow. Two, maybe three of those.
I couldn't remember if that even got done or not.
Yeah, they did get them.
Yeah. Stuff I put on.
So we could get a trade in on our old one too.
4,000, I think is what he would give us for it.
Better than you put me on.
So it'd be like 21,000 with trade.
Yeah. He doesn't have a sweep right now, but he's fine.
This would be like. Couple,
Everything was actually has been on there. Correct?
Say what?
This has been on there for upgrade, the skin, or
The
been putting some,
mowers, the
the mowers.
mowers.
Okay.
But we have enough saved in the mowers because we sold one and we've been banking the rest and we're past time to do something that I think I actually have enough to pay for both, yeah. Or close to it.
What's that?
Brush, how big brush would it be?
I think you can get different sizes. Like usually you get one that's about the width of the skid loader, which I think that skid loader is probably 72 inches wide.
Wider, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one too big for that sidewalk.
I told Nick that's what we wanted to use it for, was for the sidewalk,
Sidewalk.
like if we just have like a light
Light
snow or something, so he knows how wide.
Yeah, so. Superintendent.
oh, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean,
Just
it's some need, so. We get a little bit out of the old one.
yeah, I was just worried about somehow not being able to get rid of it or have to deal with getting it somewhere. I was just glad he would take it off our hands
So is this 25, is that
before.
2 buckets and,
Well, the one bucket you keep,
or the one bucket?
one
One
bucket comes
bucket.
with it.
Right, sorry,
The
yeah,
sweep's gonna be the additional.
sweep will be additional.
And then he's going to change the oil in it, service it, and do all that before he's gonna bring it to us.
Thing I could see the tires.
It looked decent from the picture, I thought.
Use it every day, but-
I make a motion, we pursue the trade of the skid load. 21,000. For 25,000 less $4,000 trade values. And however you want to word that.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah, the other one's a lawnmower and, Don did a lot of the legwork on this as far as. The quotes you'll find there. There were actually more, we had more quotes in this, we kind of narrowed it down to these to fit what the equipment we currently have lines up pretty similar to it. And my understanding, you correct me if I'm wrong, is up until just here a few years ago, we had 2 mowers.
The one about the mower from said they always had 2 mowers.
Yeah, and we went down to 1.
They would trade them.
Yep,
And when they bought this one in 2020, they said they only need 1 because they can't find anybody to run the other. So this one is 5 years old. It's been used both places.
the trade window, you know, we're going 3 years, we did with this, and that's, I think, what Julie's talking about with the money. So I think what we would look at doing then maybe is keeping this one guy, and again, Don, you correct me if I'm wrong, but this summer, obviously, I'm sure everybody had the issue. We needed to.
We need 3, yeah.
And we had the manpower to operate to.
Right.
We just didn't have a second mower, so it was obviously a really wet summer, hard to keep up, and so some of the thought was we would purchase this one outright, keep the one we have, and then once that hits an end of life, kind of think about at that point in time, are we back to 1 or we need additional? There's, like I said, there's 4 quotes on here. The first is for a steel. That's, you can see the price prior to discount on there. But that one comes out at $14,299. There's a grasshopper quote on here. The list price is on there. That one's $15,400. There's a Hustler quote on there. Was that the brand we weren't overly familiar with? Done. That's 16,000 after discount. And then there's the Ferris one on there. And that one's 17,000 after discount. Very similar in nature.
Yeah. I think there's one of them was a carbureted engine, and the rest of them are DFI. Yeah, I think that hustle, they tried to tell me that it was the biggest, baddest thing on the block, but I don't think we need that. And then snapper, they don't make snappers anymore. It's gonna be more. Power meters broke on it last time up to the 480 hours.
Is this P and P or Kellogg easier to get along with as far as?
I just talked to the guy from Kellogg on the phone. I went down to PNP. Yeah, if you'd gone to the fair, they would send me to look at the fair.
I believe P&P,
They had a bunch of
I got a coworker that has dealt with the PNP on a couple mowers, and I mean, he has no idea what I'm talking about, but it's very well respected. They delivered it to him up in Woodward, took his old one in. I think they may even,
but the county got a lot of chainsaw and stuff on them.
I think they even went up there and picked it up and took it back to service for him and delivered it again, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
I told the guy, we won't buy anything without service, for services.
so from my outside opinion, with that guy, he was very pleased with the BNP.
Did he talk about why the discount varies between the brands? That's one of the things I noticed on there is you look at the Hustler one, the discount's much higher.
Also, but
The Hustler one has a much higher discount on the list price.
prices are good to do. And we go do it again after the end of the month, and the prices are down to $2. Thing for a special.
I've heard Ferris is always been pretty stuff.
Yeah, that's, I think Ferris, don't they have like, suspension on them, I think? Yeah,
On 4 corners
yep,
with a shopper.
yeah. I mean, it's the most expensive one, but I like Tyler, I've heard good things about the Ferris and if they. I mean. I'm getting older too, and I hate to get beat to death or over, so Don probably feels the same way too.
Just to look at them side by side, you gotta look at them down this one. Like solid machine and that one. Like the Ferris one, but I think X-Mark makes a good machine too, but I didn't.
They're up there, but the second
And
ones. Those are pricey. Those X marks are pricey.
Oh, but the AI tells us Ferris has higher maintenance costs, but it is more comfortable. Hustler's more heavy duty. More durable. Can get you a cushion.
Pardon me?
Can get you an extra cushion. You don't even suspension. I don't know. Okay.
I'd make a motion, we take the bid on the Ferris.
That's gonna last a while. We're gonna keep it for however many years it's for. People want to rent it.
You say on the warranty is.
No,
Don't really say anything about.
I don't see warranty on any of the four.
Their standard warranty covers the entire motor for 4 years or 500 hours.
I don't know.
Get that in the
Yeah,
first year.
did you get that this summer?
The first year.
That's for the end of the year.
The engine has a limited warranty for 3 years.
I'll second John's motion. Proceed with the purchase of the Ferris mower.
Motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Vote with Ferris.
Happy mowing.
We have one in. Fifth grade student, Kaiser Ennis from West Marshall, previously attending a private school, Christian school.
So you may notice that it's past the deadline.
That's what I was just gonna ask.
So they approved, we made sure that they approved first, and they did.
West Marshall approved first. Okay.
See, they wouldn't have been getting any money in the first place.
He'd never been a student there, bro.
Right.
Okay.
All that.
Yes. Yep. Gotcha.
I'll make a motion to approve the open enrollment in application.
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Personnel.
Just a couple of volunteer coaches. Tom Handor for cross country and Trey Travis for football.
They need coaching licenses. then?
Yes.
They have them all.
They both have. They have them now.
Then you want to do them together?
Sure.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to approve Mr. Handor for cross country and Mr. Travis for the high school football volunteers.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Go ahead and approved.
I've kind of discussed a lot of these already, but as Clay and Zach talked about, we brought teachers back this week. We attended a speaker today at Colo. kind of talked about dealing with difficult students, things like that. Bring everybody back again tomorrow for a full day, and then Friday's flex, correct? Open house tomorrow night, and then, we'll go next week. I know, Zach and I have had some discussions, and we've had some questions about transportation on Mondays for athletes, so we'll kind of handle that to an extent on a case-by-case basis, but also at the middle school level, we'll do a sign up. And see, how many students need transportation to practices, and we're fairly confident. I mean, we're extremely confident we can handle the transportation issue between either drivers or even assistant coaches at bands. I don't think the number is going to exceed those things. So we certainly want to be able to provide that at least this year as we kind of get going with that. So some of the things we've been working on with that, simply in the board policies we've talked about, we'll move forward with that now. I think it's going to streamline things and make things quite a bit easier. I touched on the facilities a little bit. Our section of roof has been done. They have completely finished that now. As we look forward to some other things, we have a lot of door issues, exterior door issues, which is going to be a pretty expensive process. So I think what we're going to start to do is looking at phasing some of those in, looking at the worst ones condition wise. We have some that won't latch. We have some that will latch until the humidity kicks in, and then they appear to be shut, but you can't even hardly force them latched. So we know that's going to be a major issue that we have to look at, and that's on our radar as well. We'll also be starting into phase 2 of our roofing project. And putting out the RFP for that, getting bids for those types of things.
Can those doors fall under some sort of safety grant?
We have no more safety grant money.
No, I mean, like, we have to go out and get a grant. That's the thing.
They could, we have to see, we can go look and see what's out there. Hopefully it wouldn't be a federal grant, fund that's been for you, but we can certainly look at what's available from the funding, from the grant funding level on those. I would think they would if there's one available out there. I don't know what's available. We just did receive 100,000 here a couple of years ago from the federal government that we utilized for some interior doors as well as
Those security locks. More cameras.
But definitely something to look into.
While you're on the topic of doors, something to think about too, from that safety plan aspect would be to number each door.
Correct. Yeah, that's a good point as well.
So start with 1 and then,
We'll probably put that on our SRO, so.
I was gonna go to the art class. So. That's fine.
But that's a great point, because if you drive around the exterior of a lot of schools, you'll notice that that each exterior exit has a number on it.
Yeah, so that was a big topic today. Southeast Pole, who was where I was at the training with. Numbering each door outside and inside, so that if a teacher has to go to that door, if they have to meet somebody, then they know this is what the doors are going to. Same with like the law enforcement response of there's no guessing as far as the southwest third door, it'd be door number 8.
Yeah.
So
We've talked about wayfinding in the past, obviously inside the building as well, too. There's no.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Which front of the building.
I was gonna say, what's the front, what's back?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think Josh hit on this a little bit earlier, but huge benefit to having him here is being able to develop a lot of those things. I don't want to say they're unimportant, they're obviously extremely important. But oftentimes in schools of our size, it's put on us 3 and it just can get lost in the shuffle a little bit, right? And so I think that's a huge benefit of having a full-time SRO and improving those protocols and safety measures. Personnel update. The one thing I think you asked Clay how he feels about this year. He was very involved last year in the hiring process. So maybe another question I would ask him, how do you feel about the hiring process this year versus your hiring process last year?
Oh, that's a great question. So, for example, apples to apples comparison, we had a high school English position come open last year and late May, and we had 1 applicant. And this year, very similar timeline, different position, but high school English position open as well. We were at double digits, and we interviewed multiple people, and a couple of them were extremely good. So Yeah, and every other position that we interviewed for late in the process. I mean, June,
There were
Christmas,
multiple
I mean, dozens. I mean, social studies, we were over 25 at one point. Last year we had 3 or 4 for the same position. In high school, in the PE position, we had a ton of.
And you had all hiring done by the end of May?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I finished.
Yeah, high school English.
I finished hiring at GMG on Monday. So.
And you had a few reneged.
Yeah, what we attribute that to, causation or correlation, I mean, I know they've mentioned 4-day weeks.
Some definitely mentioned that too.
I think like you said, are the options and the number of applicants and the quality certainly increased.
Absolutely.
All our certified positions are filled. We did have just one custodial position open up, so we will be advertising for a night custodian here in the short future to fill that position, but other than that, we are full from a personnel standpoint. So.
I can say even at the classified level, we've gotten several applicants.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we've got a number of applicants for positions that we don't have open.
yeah.
I mean, just
They're
sending it in
cold
for
calling us,
a,
yeah.
an associate position or. I will say, you know, one of the decisions the board made in, not decreasing the pay of our hourly employees, it has bumped our rate up to one that is more than competitive in our hourly, employees. So.
Have any other comments or? Here we go. Take a motion here.
So moved.
Not bad.
Aye.
Meeting
I need
adjourned.
one of you. Whoever's doing the